Okay. Hi, this is Andrew from Andrew's Gammill Northwest, and this video is on how to load a quilt using the basting feature and how to float your quilt top. So without any ado, I'll get right into the process. I have my backing fabric here for the quilt. I'm going to fold it in half to find the center. And then I'm going to mark the center. There's multiple ways to do this, but my favorite way is to use scissors and to make a little snip on the fabric itself. I'm going to go to the bottom side of the backing fabric. This will be the bottom of the quilt. Do the same thing. Fold it in half to find the center. And mark it. If you haven't tried the taking a snip out of it with scissors before, try it. It's way easier than sticking a pin in and then having the pin fall out later. So you want to go and lay the fabric at the center of the quilt frame. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to secure my leader up where I can reach it for basting. So I'm going to pull out my pickup leader to an area where the machine can still reach it, but not all the way up to the belly bar. And then I'm going to use the Velcro clamps to hold it in place. So I'm going to take my front Velcro clamp and go around the front bar so that I can have it at an angle where it's pulling this way. And then if I feel like using the second one, which I don't always feel like using it, but if I do, I'll put it on there straight. So that's how I'm going to do it on both sides. So I'm going to do the other side now. So that one pulls at the angle. The other one pulls straight. All right, so what this does now is this suspends my leader so that I can attach the fabric to it. So when I bring the machine to the center of the table, most of you are going to have a mark on your canvas for where center is. This particular one doesn't, but that's all right. I'm going to use the channel lock to hold the machine in place, and that's the horizontal channel lock, so that the machine will be able to stitch right along the edge of the leader. And then what I'm going to do is if I have one pin, which I don't right now, but if I did, I would take this fabric and I would pin the center mark right on the center of my leader. So I'm going to pretend I have that because I don't have a pin right now. So I would pin the mark right at the center. And then to begin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a single stitch to bring up my bobbin thread. Hold both threads. And then I'm going to begin my basting process by taking a couple of stitches. The first 3 or 4 need to be about 1/4 inch apart, and from there you can use the basting feature on your machine. I like to do my basting at about 1/2 inch, and different machines are different. You can do 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, a full inch, whatever's right for you. So then what you want to do is you want to hold the fabric lined up with the serged edge on the leader, and just hold it there, and then move the machine, and it'll take basting stitches. Your line of basting does not have to be straight, but the fabric needs to be straight with regard to the leader. So you grab about 6 or 8 inches at a time and roll the machine. When you get to the end, push the stop button, take a few more stitches, not right on top of each other, and then bring up your bobbin thread and cut it. I worked from the center outwards. The reason for this is that if I do end up stretching the fabric a little bit, I want it to stretch equally both ways. So now I'm going to come back to the center my machine just a little bit so it's locked in the better place here. I'm going to come back to the center. And now one of my favorite little tricks is to start in the area that's already been secured. Why start somewhere where the fabric's all loosey-goosey when you could start right where I'm basically overlapping. And I'm going to change it to a 1-inch baste so you can see the difference. I just do about 6 or 8 inches at a time. On most of the Gammill models, if you wait too long to grab your fabric and keep going, the basting feature will turn itself off. So if that happens, just hit the start button again. So when I get to the end, I have to hit the stop, and then I take a couple more stitches because it needs more at the edge to secure it, and then I'm done. So this is a system that loads it. It doesn't have the bulk of pinning, and it doesn't have the bulk of red snappers, which are really bulky. And it also is super quick when you're done because you can grab the bobbin thread and pull it out, and the whole thing comes out really quick. So now that I have the top done, now I need to attach the bottom part of this piece of fabric to the other leader. Now you can use either one of your other leaders. It doesn't have to be the one marked backing. But in this case I will use the one labeled top, actually. So I'm going to pull out the leader that I've chosen to use. And I'll use the opposite arrangement on my clamps now. So one of them is pulling this way, and the other one's just pulling straight. I'll do the same thing on the other side. So one pulls at an angle, and the other one pulls straight, and that holds my leader suspended so that I can sew to it. I do have people who start in the middle, and I have other customers who start at one end, and it doesn't matter to me. If you're happy starting at one end, go for it. But all I've got to do is do my channel lock, bring up my bobbin thread. It is easier with a pin, but with a little practice, you don't even have to have a pin. And I'll just start basting. And on this one, your hand, you want to pinch the fabric and then put the rest of your hand underneath. Stop when you get to your fingers. Don't worry that the line of stitching isn't straight. All you need is for the fabric to be straight along the serged edge. The wider your quilt is, the more time this method will save you. So I hit the stop button, take a couple more stitches, and it is done. Now before I can quilt now, I'm going to need to get all of this backing fabric back onto the other leader. And while I do that, I'm going to stretch the fabric a little bit. Basically just to pull the wrinkles out of it. So I put my hand, the heel of my hand is on the big hand wheel, and that way I can put a little drag on it as I roll, And you probably can't see this in the video, but it pulls all of the wrinkles out of that backing fabric. I'm going to go ahead and lock it now. So at this point, what's left to do, now that I have a nice foundation here of my backing fabric, I can lay the batting on here, and I can stitch the batting down first if I want to. But normally I would just lay the batting on, lay the quilt top on, and then baste the top of the quilt and the sides. And when all three layers are in place, the quilt top is laying, the rest of it's on the floor. And so what you're going to do in that case is you're going to grab your magnet bars and you're going to have the top secured with basting stitches here. But how do you secure the front? You take these magnet bars, you don't put them on the belly bar, that's the first big bar. You put them on the bar underneath. And you just go ahead and you stick these on this bar. The reason you want the bar underneath is that it's not a bar that rolls. The belly bar doesn't work very well because it rolls and it doesn't stay in place. So you go ahead and clamp it there and you are ready to quilt. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, let me know by email and I might have to make a new video. This has been Andrew from Andrew's Gammill Northwest.